chasing that to see.
Director of Radiology at the Royal, Dr Ajit De Silva, explained today that the recognition is the fruit of a massive injection of funds and dedication by staff. There are 4 radiologists and 4 in training. New equipment includes a $1.5 million audiography suite, which incorporates the latest digital equipment designed to let the diagnostician look closely at specific parts of blood vessels. $250,000 has been spent on an ultrasound unit where individual body organs can be examined without having to penetrate into the patient's body. 3 new X-ray or screening rooms, as they are known, have also been installed, $400,000. And there's been a complete refurbishing of the suite containing the hospital's hard-working computer X-ray scanning unit. The Royal hit rock bottom about 1982 when a serious lack of funds led to massive cutbacks. But now the radiology recognition is seen as a sign of new status for the hospital.
What it means is we have now reached the top and we got to maintain the high standards right throughout. And the College of Radiologists will be keeping a close eye on us to see whether we can maintain such high standards.
It implies that something was lacking in the past. What were we missing in the past?
I think 2 things. Firstly, we didn't have a lot of money thrown into the department. And secondly, we didn't have a lot of radiologists staying around in the hospitals. And a lot of people are going out because the departments were, at least our department was run down.
The $23.5 million administration centre at Wallsend will be a showpiece. Following the trend of heading for greener pastures and open spaces, the Shortland County Council has created a business park with a spacious interior and a landscaped 5.2 hectare exterior. Although workmen are putting the finishing touches to the building, its character is already established. The 3 courtyards, waterfalls and holding pools, as well as the natural light flooding into the office, is a far cry from Nesca House. Nonetheless, many Shortland workers are reluctant to make the change. They like the traditional and familiar Nesca House and will miss its location in the middle of the city. And they aren't the only ones who regret the move. The Shortland County Council's move out to Wallsend with its 350-strong workforce is a slap in the face for Newcastle City Council. It's trying to encourage businesses to return to central Newcastle to revitalise the retail area. And there's no doubt that the Shortland workers and their spending power will be sorely missed. The management of the Shortland County Council is sure that once the workers get into their new surroundings, they will appreciate them. As well as trying to convince them that the move will be an advantage, the Shortland County Council has kept its business running, and according to Manager of Administrative Services David Pittard, moving house and keeping the shop doors open isn't an easy task.
So I thought it could be impossible at one stage, but all it's done is just slowed down our move out here. But the girls are up and running again with the work, and it's coming out as good as ever.
The move will be all but completed on September 19th, when the State Premier Barry Unsworth will open the new centre. All the councils in this region have been asked by the Minister for Resources, Peter Morris, to put forward proposals to the federal government on how best to combat the problems that will be faced by retrenched miners and their families. The state government can help with employment for such projects as the sewerage scheme, and the councils also have a number of proposals. The federal government's initial contribution has been the $8 million retraining program. But can these ideas become reality swiftly enough to help the retrenched workers when they need it most? Peter Morris.
Well, some things can be done fairly quickly, like the $8 million that the federal government is providing for the labour adjustment training arrangements, for the relocation assistance scheme. There's a new project we're looking at that's being developed, the Country Centres project, where we identify individual opportunities within regions for business and help that to develop. Now, they can be done fairly quick. That can be done fairly quickly. Separately from that, the longer problems of what we do with particular projects in the area, sure, but there has to be a beginning. I think today was an excellent beginning.
Most of the council seemed pleased to be involved in the joint rescue mission, and many remembered how they battled through similar crises in the industry. But there was also a strong belief that the federal government could be doing more.
I do believe that with the huge rake-off that the federal government gets from the production of coal, it's an enormous amount. The $8 million they speak of is very small indeed. I would have preferred something like 80 million, and then we could have done something very positive and very constructive.
When traces of DDT in Australian export meat was discovered, the ban on sale and use of the chemical was quickly enforced mid-July. The ban sparked a recall of all outdated and prohibited pesticides that the Department of Agriculture suspected was still being stored, although not used in most cases, and their suspicions were soon confirmed. At the last count, more than 50,000 litres of DDT and organochlorine pesticides used for termite control on fences were handed over to the department's regional research stations across the state, and more than 7,000 kilograms of dangerous solid products, including dust materials, were also handed in. Registrar of Pesticides for the Agricultural Department, Harvey Baker, today said authorities had been overwhelmed with the response. Talks are now underway with the State Pollution Control Committee to arrange a central storage location and a possible disposal outlet for the chemicals, though Mr Baker believes they will be shipped overseas, resulting in a costly exercise. Although no specific levels were disclosed, the Hunter region returned only a small amount of pesticides compared to other areas. Arsenical sheep dips have been banned since December last year, but the pesticide recall has uncovered cases of stock still being held on farms. The graziers have until October the 2nd to deliver the products to any office of the Department of Agriculture.
Good afternoon, I'm Helen Hughes. In tonight's news, a report on the long-awaited baby capsule hire scheme in Newcastle. The scheme is now operating from the Western Suburbs Hospital, and parents are urged to take advantage of it so that their babies travel safely as soon as they're discharged from hospital.
For all the news, join us tonight at 6.
Before the fall in the main race of the carnival, organisers were congratulating themselves on one of the most successful Cup carnivals ever. The track was good, the weather perfect, and a record 10,000 punters had turned out to cheer the horses and riders. The race got off to a good start, but it was clear the 17 horses were closely matched. Tragedy struck at the first bend, when something went amiss in the tight group and 3 horses crashed to the ground. They were number 5, Silver Award, number 17, Wilhelm, and number 7, Addition Bay. The jockey of Wilhelm, Stephen Schofield, was rushed to hospital with abrasions and concussion. The other 2 jockeys were able to be assisted from the track. 2 of the horses escaped the fall relatively unharmed, but number 7, Addition Bay, was assessed as being too badly hurt to save and quickly dispatched. Meanwhile, coming into the final straight, it was anybody's race.
Right down the outsiders, Goldwire putting in a good run. They've got 300 to go, plenty of chances. The Brotherhood coming after Dream Lodge. Algonquin Clubs run right off, interfering there on the outside with Lord Marquis. Kenzai starting to run home well down the outside, but the Brotherhood in front. Kenzai's the danger. Kenzai going after the Brotherhood, third ostensible. Brotherhood in front. Kenzai on the outside is picking it up. Kenzai and the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood's beaten Kenzai, third Lord Highbrow, followed by Rising Fairest.
In a photo finish, number 16, the Brotherhood, ridden by apprentice jockey Craig Carmody, took line honours from number 2, Kenzai. Both horses are from the Randwick stable of trainer Les Bridge. Les, Newcastle's been good to you?
Yes, I rode my first winner here as an apprentice jockey, and I've had 4 runners in this Newcastle Cup for 3 wins and a second, so it's been a lucky race.
The trophies were presented by another winner, Peter Sterling, this year's recipient of the Rothmans Medal.
In tonight's news, a report on a blast at a Charlestown construction site which sent a hail of rocks into the air. Shop windows and cars were damaged, while one rock was flung a block and a half away through the roof of a community hall.
For all the news,
Join us tonight
at 6. From the field of 31 starters, there are 26 still left in the rally after demanding sections north of Newcastle late this afternoon. In first place for most of the day has been last year's winner, Wayne Bell, in his Toyota Sprinter twin cam. Navigating for Bell is well-known Newcastle motorsport identity, David Boddy. Ian Hill in a Subaru is holding down second place. However, Greg Carr, the current Australian Rally champion, was forced out late today with differential problems after running third over most of the course. This Asander title has eluded Carr over its 8-year history. Late today, the rescue helicopter was called to lift an injured man to Royal Newcastle Hospital after rally competitors discovered the man and his family in a combi van which had rolled on its side. The van had crashed on a competitive section of the course, although there was no collision involved in the incident. 9 more sections tonight on both gravel and bitumen will see competitors work their way back to race headquarters at the entrance on the Central Coast.
As hundreds of onlookers lined the route to the launch site, the bullocks, some looking a bit bemused by the whole proceedings, were moved into position. A special track had been laid from the vessel's construction site to the levee bank on the Williams River, where the 75-ton steamship will be officially launched next weekend. As a last-minute check was made to ensure all was in order, the bullock team was harnessed up to its rather unusual load. And so began the vessel's 100-metre journey overland. To help ease the burden on the bullock team, a bulldozer brought up the rear to lend a helping push. The operation went without a problem, taking the bullocks and the bulldozer just on 10 minutes to move one of the region's major bicentennial projects a bit closer to its eventual home. The official launch of the William IV is expected to take place next Saturday at about 1:45.
The Falcons' season was their most dismal on record, winning only 6 from 26 and finishing 12th on the 14-team ladder. Steve Johansson began the season as head coach, but after only 1 win in 9 matches, he was sacked and replaced by Owen Wells. Under Johansson, the Falcons set their most depressing record. Playing against Illawarra at the Broadmeadow Stadium in June, they lost 133-82, the 51-point difference, the biggest home loss on record in the NBL. Despite the experience of Wells at the helm, the Falcons continued to lose. They lost another 5 before posting a win. That string of 12 straight losses put them in the record books again, this time for the 3rd longest losing streak. Next record was against North Melbourne, when the Falcons lost 164-130. The 294 points was the most points in a 48-minute NBL game, eclipsing the old mark by 3. On the other side of the coin, record number 4 was set in Saturday night's home game against Westside Melbourne. The Falcons piled on 89 points in the second half to equal the record for the most points in a half. To individual performances, Jerry Everett became the first Newcastle player to score more than 50 points in a game when he scored 53 against Westside Melbourne on Saturday night. .208 players teed off in today's 18-hole Pro-Am, including 85 professionals. Well-known players in the field were Bob Shearer and Wayne Riley. Riley has only just returned from 6 months playing the European circuit. The former Victorian and New South Wales PGA winner didn't win today's tournament, but did play some excellent golf. He fired a 2 over 74, 7 behind the winner. The par 3 7th hole carried a hole-in-one prize of a laser car from Gloucester Ford. Everyone gave it their best shot, however Gloucester's got to keep their car. Bob Shearer didn't have a good day. He carded a 5 over 77. The next major tournament for Riley and Shearer will be the Queensland Open in 2 weeks. Also competing at Coolangatta will be today's outright winner, Sydney pro Peter Jones. He fired a 5 under 67 to win by 4 strokes. Today's win goes with his Roseville and Muirfield Pro-Ams he has won in the last week.
Over 12 months ago, major stabilisation works were carried out on the beach at Shoal Bay, with tons of sand being brought in from nearby Nelson Bay in an effort to stop the erosion and rubbish build-up. However, Port Stephens Shire Council began work right on school holiday time, a move which was slammed by local residents and holiday makers alike.
The volume of noise is unbearable. The higher up you go in the building, the worse it gets. But it begins at 7:15 in the morning and it runs until about 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon.
Now, the second stage of beach improvement work will go ahead following a grant of over $300,000 announced by Public Works Minister Laurie Brereton. The new works will double the number of car spaces adjacent to the beach and connect up all stormwater outlets to one central point. But the good news is that this time, work will not begin until after school holidays, and Council hopes will be completed in time for Christmas.
For the 8 retrenched workers, last night was spent under the stars beside the steaming number 25. Nearby residents supporting the men in their fight to keep the steam line operating provided food and hot cups of tea. Between them, the men have served nearly 75 years under Coal and Allied, hauling coal along Australia's oldest tracks. But now the closure is imminent and the month-long dispute has taken its toll on the families.
The support's there, but our home life is not what you'd call real good, because everyone here, all their wives are all on tension all the time, and we haven't really got a good home life just at present.
Well, we just had a 4-month-old baby boy, just moved into a house, and things are going to get tough. You can just see it coming. Things are getting tough.
Despite their loss of jobs, the men say there's still light at the end of the tunnel for number 25.
When this is over, we will take this logo back to Hexham and put it in the logo shed. We are not prepared to let any vandals come out here and vandal company property in any way whatsoever. We will assure the company of that.
The railway workers say they will continue their stakeout until they're directed otherwise by the Federated Engine Drivers and Firemen's Association, and they expect Coal and Allied to make the next step sometime today.
That's because Newcastle elected a new council last year after 2 years with an administrator. The new council was given a 5-year term. This will bring it into line with other local governments elected today for their second ever 4-year term. Most campaigns were a lacklustre affair. In Maitland, just 23 candidates nominated for the 16 aldermanic positions. This council went to the people with the budget some $300,000 in the black and with few political divisions among the aldermen. Voting, however, was brisk this morning and then steady for the rest of the day. In Port Stephens Shire, the local elections competed with the brilliant sunshine and the Twin Rivers Festival for attention. At some polling booths in the Shire, voters were queuing outside the booth waiting for them to open early this morning. The Lake Macquarie election campaign was marked with the emergence of independents as candidates, many of them cutting their teeth in local resident protest groups. Issues such as the Westlake Sewerage Scheme, longwall mining and the controversial multicultural centre proposed for Spears Point came to the fore. However, the ALP faction mounted a strong community-based campaign seeking re-election on its past performance. In all local government areas, there were a large number of pre-poll votes registered, a result of election day coinciding with the first day of the school holidays.
Yesterday's event was part of the Lake Macquarie Games and attracted a class field of athletes from the Hunter, Central Coast, North Coast and Sydney. Starting and finishing at Spears Point Park, the course was raced over a 1 kilometre swim, 40 kilometre cycle and 10 kilometre run. First out of the water and onto their bikes were Kevin Thompson, Craig Botcher and Rick Pallister. With so many competitors, bike accidents were inevitable. This pair failed to finish after clipping wheels and coming to grief. One of the first to the run section was Sydney's Greg Welsh. His specialty is the run and he careered away from the rest of the field to win in 1 hour 53 minutes and 27 seconds. Second to finish was Chipmunk Fraser and third Stephen Wade. First lady home was Tiffany Hutchison of Sydney.
Since the championship began yesterday, Victoria Metropolitan has not been extended in winning any of its 3 matches. On the other hand, Victoria Country was pushed in one of its games, and that was against New South Wales Country, which is dominated by Newcastle players. The Victorians won the game last night, 68-66. Despite the loss, New South Wales Country easily beat the ACT in this game this morning, 105-55. And tonight at 9 will take on Western Australia Metropolitan. It will have to win that match to have any chance of making it to Friday's semi-finals or Saturday's final. Only one round of games has been scheduled tomorrow, and New South Wales Country is not playing at all because of a bye. Games begin at the Broadmeadows Stadium tomorrow afternoon at 2, with the giant Victorian Metropolitan side playing at 7:15. They're the team favoured to win the championship, and late this afternoon thrashed South Australia Country 185-31.